when he said that he has never aired his dirty linen in public. Am I being gaslit here?
I mean, this man's been literally sort of putting his trash out for cash for the last 5 years.
If he wants to be back in the UK and wants to come back more often, wants to do some work here, does that say something about the atmosphere in Montecito?
She returned to Instagram, exploded with this photograph of Harry.
It's the last time he had hair. That's when that photo was taken. It's very old.
It was an amazing visit. It went off better than clockwork.
And that photo of her and William was absolutely sort of box office.
My highlight, quite frankly, was the whole thing. The King did his job. He did it
Royal
brilliantly.
exclusive, where this week Prince Harry tries to rewrite history, claiming he has never aired his dirty linen in public, while claiming his conscience is clear. And the Princess of Wales and First Lady Melania were dressed to impress at the historic US state visit, while the King and President Trump hailed the special relationship between Britain and the United States. I'm The Sun's royal editor, Matt Wilkinson, and joining me in the studio to discuss all this and more, I'm pleased to welcome former Buckingham Palace spokesman, now royal commentator, Dickie Arbiter, and news commentator, Samara Gill. Right, we've had an incredibly busy week, and it seems ages ago now that Prince Harry gave this interview after his week in the UK. And I want to pick out one line that really stands out to me, Samara, when he said that he has never aired his dirty linen in public. Am I being gaslit here? Am I forgetting what happened with Spare? I mean, does this ring true with you, these words from Harry?
They ring untrue. I mean, this man's been literally sort of putting his trash out for cash for the last 5 years. He is someone who has completely ruined the royal family's legacy, or tried to. He hasn't. We've seen this week that he hasn't been able to do that. But let's not forget Spare. Him talking about losing his virginity behind a pub, his todger. I mean, this would all be counted as dirty laundry. You know, the Oprah interview, the Netflix special, even the Polo documentary, and then the constant leaks to People magazine and that we know about. I mean, this man has genuinely spent the last 5 years trashing and airing his dirty laundry out. So no, I don't believe it for a second, Matt.
Good. I'm glad I wasn't losing my mind, because when I saw those comments, I thought, what's just happened in the last couple of years? Dickie, were you surprised to see him talking this way? Harry, in this interview with The Guardian, he was talking about wanting to correct untruths. I mean,
you wouldn't know an untruth that slapped him in the face, because he's been delivering untruths since they walked out of the UK in 2020. It's a bit rich giving to The Guardian, a Republican newspaper. What is he trying to achieve? You know, the Guardian is so anti-monarchy, and yet there's Harry cozying up to The Guardian. I think the whole interview was a load of rubbish, and I think most people will recognise it just for that. I mean, the fact that he wants to concentrate on his dad over the next year, he should have been concentrating on his dad ever since he walked out in 2020, not just the next year. Is there some message he's trying to send?
Well, he said,
I've missed it.
He says, in the coming year, the focus really has to be on my dad. How do you think that's going to manifest itself? Does that mean that he will be coming over more often, spending more time with his father? Remember, he only got like half an hour with his dad when he was over here last time.
Well, he didn't get much, did he? I mean, there are various reports saying he got 50 minutes, 52 minutes, 55 minutes. How long he had, we really don't know. Did he get a cup of tea? We don't know. He did see his dad. How long his dad gave him, we don't know. Is he going to come back here more often over the coming year? Watch this space.
Yeah.
What's he going to achieve? Remember, though, there are the Invictus Games in 2027.
All right, this latest criticism aimed at Prince Harry is seriously sparking debate online. Critics are accusing Harry of constantly profiting from royal family drama while simultaneously claiming he wants privacy and peace. In fact, some commentators are now saying Harry always puts his trash out for cash, arguing that his repeated interviews, documentaries, and memoir directly contradict his claims about avoiding public conflict. Now obviously that's a very harsh accusation, but it taps into one of the biggest ongoing debates surrounding Harry since leaving royal life. Is he exposing painful truths, or monetizing private family conflict? Ever since Harry and Meghan Markle stepped away from royal duties, they've repeatedly spoken publicly about their experiences. There was the Oprah interview, the Netflix documentary, Harry's memoir Spare, various interviews and media appearances. And with each project, more private details about royal life became public. Critics argue that Harry can't claim to dislike public drama while continuing to participate in highly public discussions about family tensions. That's the core of the criticism. To them, the issue isn't just what Harry says, it's the fact that those revelations became major commercial projects tied to massive global attention. But supporters of Harry strongly reject the idea that he's simply selling family drama. They argue Harry spent most of his life trapped inside a system where he felt unable to speak openly. And from that perspective, interviews and memoirs weren't about cash. They were about reclaiming control over his own story. Supporters also point out that Harry has consistently framed his public comments around mental health, media treatment, trauma, and institutional pressures. So depending on perspective, he's either courageously exposing painful experiences or publicly damaging family relationships for attention and profit.
So that's barely, 18 months, 2 years away. Maybe he is going to come across. What he's going to do, again, remains to be seen. I think best thing he can do is put up and shut up, because to have no conscience is a bit rich. He should have a conscience.
Well, this is the comment. He said that his conscience is clear. Are you surprised by that? I mean, he's never really shown any plans to apologise or to admit any failures,
no remorse whatsoever,
or to show any remorse for anything that, or just to admit that maybe I did this a little bit wrong. I mean, he said, clearly I haven't done anything wrong. My conscience is clear. Where do you stand with that, Samara?
Well, of course, his conscience is clear because he has this unshakable victim complex. So his conscience is clear, but he's been trashing everyone else in his path. And I think it's really interesting, his meeting with the king, because he went through the entrance to see his king for the general kind of public, not the general public, but, when CEOs...
It was a visitor's entrance.
Well, the visitor's entrance, and he had to get checked by security, and there are reasons for that. I mean, we know that the king is completely, and William, are very concerned about him leaking to the public any information from any meetings that they've had. And this comment about, I need to spend the next year with my dad, I mean, that could mean that the dad has only a year left to live, as you said, Matt. I mean, that's a leak in itself. That's a leak about his health.
We don't know that, but it could be Harry, seems to be kind of giving that impression. You could read that into Harry's statement. It's led to comments where people might start thinking, well, is Harry leaking kind of health information about his father? We're told that, his cancer treatment is continuing, he's living with cancer, and they're managing it really well. But I think that comment, really, the focus really has to be on my dad, has worried a few people that maybe he's been over-speaking a little bit. You're right.
Yeah, I think that they're very scared every time that they do meet what will get aired to the public, and I think that that's going to be a reoccurring theme. But I think Harry actually wants to come back into the fold for the simple reason of money. I think that there are financial issues looming on the gates of Montecito. They've got a very expensive lifestyle, him and Meghan, to upkeep, and those pots of jam aren't selling out on the website. So I know it sounds trivial, but I do think it's a bit of a craven pass at getting back in. And I think even that Guardian interview and then him jetting off to Ukraine. I mean, the man's been complaining about his security for the last few years and wanting us, the British taxpayer, to pay for it. It doesn't look good when he keeps jetting off to a war zone. It really doesn't. I mean, the optics of this have been shocking.
And when you think that jetting off in a private jet, and there's the man talking about the environment.
Yeah, precisely. Hypocrisy written all over it.
I was nervous about, I'm uncomfortable with the whole thing about that Guardian interview, because he had quite a successful week. Not a successful week, but he had a week that didn't really have any errors. He got what he wanted. He got the meeting with the king. He got lots and lots of coverage, and I think he was leaving feeling it was a successful trip, and I think he got a little bit high on the attention. And then he gave this interview which torpedoed everything that he had maybe achieved in the week before. So yeah, his conscience is clear. Doesn't air his dirty laundry in public. And a focus has to be on his dad. But also, I picked up in this interview that he now seems to love the UK. He said that he really enjoys the UK. He was happy to be back and, wants to spend more time in the UK in the future. Again, do we really believe him after everything that he's been saying in the last couple of years?
I'm not terribly sure we should believe him, but then if he wants to be back in the UK and wants to come back more often, wants to do some work here, does that say something about the atmosphere in Montecito?
Right.
Watch this space. But if you look at the engagements last week, that he had 4 days where he was kingpin, It was well managed, well stage managed. It was a big PR exercise. What I thought was crass was the fact that it was revealed by him how much money he had donated.
Oh,
the
yeah.
royals are always donating money. They don't say how much they donate. The organisations that are being given the money don't say how much. But yet, Harry has got to embellish the whole thing. The week went well, but he's got to embellish it with how much he donated. Why?
This is the 1.1 million to children in need, wasn't it? It was the 1.1 million he
Yes.
announced in
Yeah,
Nottingham.
I mean, there are so many people who give to children in need. They don't shout from the rooftops how much they've given. But Mr. Sussex had to do just that.
It was probably on the list of things they had to achieve throughout the week, because he got a lot of coverage for that as well. But you mentioned there about Montecito. So Meghan had stayed very silent during his trip to the UK, which is a bit of time ago, a while ago now. But on Harry's 41st birthday, which is on Monday, she returned to Instagram, exploded with this photograph of Harry. I think it was taken from about 15 to 20 years ago.
It was about 2009 he joined the Army Air Corps. He's in an Army Air Corps overalls.
Yeah.
So from that...
It's the last time he had hair. That's when that photo was taken. It's very old.
What did you make of that picture? Because a girlfriend of mine said that it struck her that it was almost a passive-aggressive way. She views it as, I felt that way. I had an argument with my husband once, and I didn't want to send a really nice message. And she sees it as her perspective that Meghan was maybe having a little bit of a pop at Harry because she didn't choose the greatest picture, didn't choose a modern picture, didn't use a photo of them together, and it was just a very short little message. Or am I reading too much into that Instagram post?
And honestly, that divide has become one of the defining features of the entire Sussex debate. One reason critics hit so hard on this issue is because of the perceived contradiction surrounding privacy. Harry and Meghan frequently criticized intrusive media coverage and the impact of public scrutiny. But critics then point to the documentaries, interviews, podcasts, and memoir deals and ask, if privacy was the goal, why keep returning to the spotlight? Now supporters respond by saying there's a difference between being harassed by media and choosing to tell your own story voluntarily. And that distinction matters. But the contradiction debate still follows Harry constantly. Honestly, one of the biggest turning points in public opinion was probably Spare. Because that book contained deeply personal stories involving family arguments, royal tensions, and private moments. For supporters, it humanized Harry and revealed emotional struggles people never fully understood before. For critics, it crossed a line by exposing family issues that should have remained private. And ever since then, accusations that Harry profits from royal conflict have become even louder online. At the center of this entire debate is one huge question. Who owns the story? Does Harry have the right to publicly tell his own experiences, even if those stories involve family members? Or does repeatedly discussing private conflicts inevitably damage trust and relationships beyond repair? That's really what people are arguing about here. And because emotions around the royal family are already so intense, the conversation becomes incredibly polarized. At the end of the day, opinions on Prince Harry remain deeply divided. Some viewers believe he courageously spoke his truth after years of pressure and silence. Others believe he repeatedly turned deeply personal family issues into public entertainment. But one thing is undeniable. The debate over Harry, privacy, media exposure, and royal family conflict is nowhere near ending anytime soon. What do you think? Is Harry unfairly criticized for telling his story, or do the critics have a point about the constant public airing of royal drama? Drop your thoughts in the comments and I'll see you in the next video.